going to start it off.
Tim Tebow, your thoughts?
What took so long? You know what? We're happy with his year last year. Obviously, to finish 9-9, get a playoff win, which we hadn't done in several years, and for him to come in and start 1-4, he really he had a great spark. Added a great spark for us, and we really had some good things happen to us. So I was really happy with his progress. I know Tim's going to work hard this offseason. We're hoping that he's going to be the guy for a long, long time.
Sum up your first year as an executive with the Broncos.
The first year, I was happy with it. I mean, to be able to finish 9-9, coming off of the last couple of years when we were, I think, 6-22 over the last 28. I think the key thing was that getting John Fox hired was a tremendous help for us to change the culture in the building. Anytime you go through a streak that we went through, to me, the hardest thing to change is the fact is the culture, and to try to get the winning mentality back in the players' minds. And I think that's what John did a tremendous job with last year. Is we won a lot of close football games, and a lot of times when you go through losing streaks, that's the hardest thing to do. And I think, I really give credit to John to changing that culture with, as well as the coaching staff, to get that mindset back when we got into close football games. That the mindset wasn't, what's going to happen for us to lose this game. Rather, it turned around and said, okay, let's go out and make a play and figure out a way to win. And we were able to do that last year.
John, when you look at the quarterbacks coming through the combine this year, the last couple of years, how would you say that position has evolved from when you played to now?
Well, I think if you look at the quarterbacks, obviously they're along with every position, to me, is getting more athletic. The kids are getting bigger, they're getting stronger, they're getting faster, and so with every position. And I think the arm strength, and especially if you look what's going on in the NFL, what we're doing in the NFL, the game's getting more complicated because of the amount of things we can do on the offensive side as well as what you're seeing on the defensive side. So, I think that athletically and size-wise, maturity-wise, these kids realize what they're, when they step out of college, that especially if you're high in the draft, there's high expectations and a lot of pressure to perform early.
So what do you look for when you're watching them?
Well, I think that, obviously you look at all that. You want to see the motion, the release, footwork, how the ball comes off. And then we don't get much time with them. Obviously, 15-minute interviews with them at night, so you don't get a chance to really find out a whole lot about them. But, you get a feel for them and a chance to be around them before we can dig in even deeper in the process. So, there's so much to every kid, and there's so much to each position that goes into the NFL that, every little bit like this combine helps us all.
John, do you have a sense that Brian Dawkins wants to continue playing? And just talk about the value of having a guy like that with your organization.
Well, he's been tremendous, and I think that he's been a tremendous help for the organization, and his ability as a football player, but also as a man, his ability as a leader, and the type of person he is has been very reflective on the Denver Broncos, and I think that those are the type of guys that we want on our football team. I have not had a chance to talk to Brian to see what his plans are, whether he'd like to come back or not. I just, not speaking for him, I know he's probably going through a tough time, having been a football player, how hard it is to make that decision when you're getting close to the end of your career, whether you want to continue to play or not. So, but to this point, I haven't had a chance to talk to Brian, but look forward to talking to him.
What are your impressions with also Luck and Robert Griffin? What are just your general impressions now as you study them and get to know them a little bit?
Well, I look at both of them as two unbelievable prospects coming up. I think that you look at what they both did this year with Andrew at Stanford and RG3 down at Baylor. Two tremendous talents, tremendously mature, intelligent guys that I look at as those two are going to have a lot of success in the NFL.
Is there anything that you've learned with all the years of Mike Shanahan that you apply to your executive decisions today?
Apply to what now?
Your executive decisions over the last year.
Well, I think there's a philosophy that comes back. There's no question Mike had a lot to do with, because when he came in, he was my coach as a player, and he was the offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, and then obviously moved up to be the head coach. And so there's no question a lot of my philosophy comes from Mike. I think that when you have a guy like that I look at, obviously led us to 2 world championships, has had a lot of success in the NFL, and what I think of him as a football coach, no question, parlays into where I think as an executive in the position I am, and a lot of it into my decision making.
Hey, you mentioned that you wanted to add a couple quarterbacks. Do you have any type of idea what kind of quarterbacks you want to add in terms of complementing the guys you already have on the roster?
You know, I think that we're going through that process now, and we have to kind of let it happen. I don't know that we're looking for one like Tim or, you know, your ordinary drop back or, you know, somewhere in between. I think that until we find out the interest out there, it's going to be hard to fill those spots. But I think that, you know, when I look at Tim and I look at our offense, you know, we can do it with either one. You know, whether it be a guy like Tim or if it's more of a drop back type guy, that we feel like either one's going to be able to fit.